Welcome back, everyone. Today's Saturday, so I thought I'd make a video. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys a color change, another one. I've taught one previously on my channel. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it. I'm going to be teaching you more specifically what kind of color change, a snap change. And the reason why they call it that is because this is what you're going to be doing with your fingers, kind of snapping with your middle finger. If you can't actually snap with your middle finger, doesn't affect the trick, so don't worry. But for those of you who don't know what a color change is, it is a card trick, I guess you could call, where you take one card and you change it into another. So-called. You don't actually change the card, you just move it. And it's basically the simplest term I could give for a color change. This is what the snap change looks like live. You're gonna need two cards, obviously. And that's it. That's the entire move. I just did it. The way this works is you simply pull the card underneath. That's it. Now, before we get into this trick, I need to tell you that this trick is very angle sensitive, and for those of you who also don't know what that means, is that once you execute it, if I turn too much this way, you can see the card here, I flash. And if I turn too much this way, I also flash. If I have my hand too low, flash. Hand too high up, I flash. So this trick is very angle sensitive. It's a very directly front trick. So if your audience isn't in front of you, they might see how it's done. Personally, when I do this, I don't care because it's very basic, but it's still fun to do. So I'm gonna teach you the technique now of how to do this. I will be doing a behind the view of this so you guys can kind of understand how it works, but I'm just going to teach you the in front version. So how this works is you need two cards, and what you need to do is you need to take your middle finger and your index finger and your thumb. These are the only three fingers that are going to be touching the card. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your middle finger and cover this pip. If you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, just go from the top and slide your hand down, and that would do the exact same thing. You can still do it. So once you cover the pip, it's very easy. All you have to do is slide this card back. Now, what I would recommend first of all is don't try it with two cards. It's going to be very hard. I've tried. So I would recommend grabbing one card first and then just tucking it behind your hand like this, okay? Here's a behind the view version. It gets caught under this part of my thumb and it kind of just sits there. My thumb kind of can move a little, not much, and then my index finger is free to do whatever. If that helps, kinda, try it, just practice with one card. Just practice this motion. Or if you just want to practice doing this motion, that also works. It just will help you doing the actual snapping part. Now, the tricky part comes in when you add the second card. The second card poses a little bit of a problem, and I've kind of figured out a way to work around it, sort of. If you watch when I stand sideways, this card, this is the second card. This is the card that's going to be behind your front one. It peeks up, it doesn't slide with this one. See? This card comes behind, and then this one stays in front. So I'm just going to flip one card around. So we have the 3, right? And then we have the 9. So when I do this, you need to let go with your index and start pushing this card back, the front one. And then with your index, you need to clip this little corner. So if I show you from this side, see how this, when I pull this down, I get this little corner. You need to push this one back just a little bit. Add a little bit of tension with this, with your index finger, and this card will help slide this one back, and this card will stay in front. Now, if I show you this from behind, there we are. We go here. You need to see how, once you see this pip back here, take this and just push a little bit of tension, and it will help you pull this card backwards. I'll show you from the side. this little corner. Take this here, and every time you see this corner, this part will be easy to access, and you can just pull it back. There's no real, like, I can do this in 5 minutes. Will come down to just practicing grabbing this back card and sliding it back. Now that's the technique of it. The next part would be cleanup. So if you couldn't tell, once you do this, you kind of have a little bit of a problem back here, you know, there's a little bit of a card. So there's a few ways you can actually get rid of this. One being, which is just my personal preference, grab this corner of the front card, swing it down, take this card, slide it up, and then pull this card down. So if I did it in real motion, you'd have that. Obviously, with more practice, you'd get it a little smoother, right? And so that's one way to clean up. Now, let's say you have a deck in your hands. I'm just gonna grab a few cards. You do the change, right? And then you just simply come up and pick this card up and go around. Now, that would be one way of doing it. You would actually go like this. 1, 2, do the change here, ditch this card onto the pile, come back around, and then you're left with one card in your hands, which seems to be magical in its way. And those are kind of the two really basic ways of doing this trick, this cleanup anyway. I personally prefer just to use one card and then clean it like that, and then you can just like place it on the deck or whatever you want to do. But yeah, so those are two of the main ways of cleaning this trick up. If you're doing it on camera, you could just like cut post and stuff. You could also just ditch the card on camera, I guess, like if you can somehow do that. But yeah, that's basically it for the technique of doing this trick and how to clean it up. Those are the two really main things you need to know, and to know your angles. And a good way to know your angles is to stand in a mirror. Now, there's different variations of this, like you saw in the intro if you watched that. There's the snap one, which looks like that. There's the one that I did kind of like this. It's kind of like a shake, rocky motion, and then kind of just changes. And then this one's just a pass over. So two of these are very similar. The passing over one, you basically just do a snap change like this when your hand's in front of it. So once your hand gets here, do it, and then carry on your hand over. Now you can bring this hand down a little bit, just be careful not to flash. If you can keep your hand here and just raise it over, works just as well. The other one that kind of pawns off that one is the flicking motion here. So you would obviously do like this, but what you would add is the sound of you flicking this back card like that. So you would flick and change at the same time. Now, the idea of that one where you flick it, it's the idea of the bigger motion hides the smaller motion. The sound and the flick hide the smaller motion of you just moving your middle finger underneath. It's that simple. But yeah, that's just pawn over of the one where you just cover your hand. Now, this one where you do the slight twist motion, it's a little more difficult because you have two hands holding onto the card. This hand does absolutely nothing because you're going to be doing it with your right hand if you're right-handed, and obviously reversed if you're left-handed, like that. But the way this one works is basically you can hold on to here, but right when you're about to do the change, these two fingers basically have to get off the card, or else you're going to end up with something that isn't a snap change. You go here, here. That's basically the entire move. Now, what I found is that if you can just hold on to the edge of the card and not actually the front, it will make the change so much easier. So you go here to here. kind of stuttered there, but you get the idea. It's just 1, 2, here to here, or a little shake, and it does the same idea. But yeah, that's basically the entirety of a snap change. It's just this motion. It's angle sensitive, and yeah, as always, practice. Don't know how I did that, but practice, have fun, and see you in the next video, I guess. Peace.